Welcome to my intuitive reactions, the MENA Gulf regions, and much more these days. This is number 41, and it comes in two parts. So I would very much encourage you to listen to both episodes because there is a continuity, there is a flow of arguments between the two. Aristotle, a student of Plato, was a Greek philosopher and polymath during the classical period in ancient Greece. In other words, during the period from 510 to 323 BC. But why do I bring up Aristotle today, you might well ask? Well, a friend of mine reminded me of him and of the Aristotelian tradition only a couple of days ago. Around 350 BC, Aristotle introduced three words, ethos, pathos, and logos, in the structure of a great speech. He defined ethos as establishing one's authority to speak on a subject, logos qualifying the logical arguments in the discussion, and pathos as one's attempt to sway an audience emotionally. And I apply this concept, what I call Aristotle's three modes of persuasion, or what is more commonly known these days also as the rhetorical triangle, to the current Russia-Ukraine war. Everyone is talking about Ukraine as the war enters its third week. They mispronounce the names. They come up with all sorts of explanations. Journalists, pundits, politicians, galore, all are voicing their opinions. Look just at social media. Look at your tabloids and broadsheets here in the UK or elsewhere in Europe. One thing we are told time and again is that this awful war is not going well for Russia. President Putin, it seems, was aiming for a Blitzkrieg. The word comes from German and it means a lightning war, but that the resistance by the Ukrainians has been strong and unexpected, hence the levels of destruction by an angry president and of brave resistance by the Ukraine. So the most obvious and horrific scenes of destructions aside, the symptoms of this war to date are really refugees. Some 2.5 million refugees in Poland, as well as in other neighboring countries such as Moldova, Romania, and Hungary, but also a little bit further away from Central Europe into West Europe, into Germany, which even took 2,000–3,000 refugees from Moldova to ease the burden, and also Ireland, which to date has already got 5,500 refugees. We in the UK are trying to gear up toward a more hospitable welcome for those refugees. And we've been told that the new, easier applications would be ready by Tuesday, which is the day after tomorrow. And people from all over the world are helping. I noticed one that might ring with you. Mila Kunis, a Ukrainian-American Jewish actress, woman, told Maria Shriver on Sunday paper that she's raising $30 million to help Ukrainian refugees. Meanwhile, destruction and refugees and humanitarian efforts aside, there are things that are happening. It's not only war in the violent military sense. Mediation is going on. One mediation is the one we've been following in Belarus. between the two parties. Another was one that was hosted by the Turkish foreign minister in Antalya in southwest Turkey. A third one was when Naftali Bennett, having met Chancellor Olaf Scholz, went to Moscow in order to meet with President Putin, and then to Germany to brief the German political leadership. There have also been other quite interesting mediation efforts. One is by the Holy See, by Pope Francis from the Vatican, who's been quietly and discreetly trying to deploy his diplomatic prowess and that of the Holy See in order to try and manage, limit, stop this war. Pope Francis even went to visit the Russian ambassador in Rome. And of course, what we don't see because it goes under the radar are continuing Russian-Ukrainian direct talks. Now, amidst these mediation efforts, there are also some other alarming news as well. One is that foreign fighters, apparently some 16,000 Middle Eastern foreign fighters, they're called volunteers. I call them mercenaries, paid fighters, are ready to go and take up arms to defend Russia. Not that, in my opinion, Russia needs to be defended, even in the morass that has become the battlefield in Ukraine for it. They're willing to go and fight. This reminds me a little bit, does it not, of the Wagner group affiliated with Russia in Libya, in Iraq, in Syria, and now do we have jihadists going to Ukraine? There's also a lot of fear-mongering, and I hope that it's only fear-mongering, about chemical and biological weapons. Chilling thought. Syria showed us what could happen with those weapons of mass destruction. And of course, everything is being now mooted. People are saying Russia is claiming that the International Space Station, which is basically a Russian Western joint effort, that it might actually collapse on our heads if the sanctions are not removed from Russia. And even drama itself is sometimes over-dramatized at times of frustration. I saw a clip which supposedly was put together by some members of parliament in Kyiv in the Ukraine that went viral, which show an attack by Putin's Russia on Paris. And there was the Eiffel Tower in the background. A lot of worrying developments, a lot of thoughts that would make you wonder. Something that Russia perhaps thought would be over in 3 or 4 days has now entered its third week, and we are beginning to feel increasingly vulnerable, not only in Ukraine, not only in the adjoining or neighboring countries, but further afield in Western Europe too. So join me again for part 2 to continue and analyze a bit this conversation.